What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 43. Yes, 43. Cannot believe it. Of me sharing my journey as a startup founder. I'm building my own version of Google, a true Google alternative in the AI world. That's AI first. How would you design Google if you were to build it today? Was the question I asked myself. And it was exhilarating. I just got so excited. So I quit Google a couple of years back, more than 2 years back. And for the last 2 years, I've been working on this. And I want to say last year and a half is what I've been actively building. The first 6 to 9 months, I was just trying to figure out how to get started. What are the core principles and what are the core values? And some values stood out for me. One is ComTech, meaning the idea is to not take advantage of people's attention. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for my family. Um, and I don't want for our future generations. So Comtech, don't monetize attention. Number two, user-centric, user in the center of all decision making. So you're making decision that benefits users, and revenue and growth is a side effect versus you make decisions to grow. A typical startup wants to become $1 billion, $1 trillion company. And so for them, growth is the most important thing. They have people that literally their job title is head of growth. I don't think I'll ever have someone like a head of growth in my company. We want to do the right things and listen to people. If you listen to people, growth will follow, is the fundamental belief. Yes, you have to apply good principles, good marketing, build a good product that is easy to use, but you cannot have as your principal growth as a primary metric. In fact, for my company, which I'm going to announce the brand name soon. Right now, I'm calling it Snazzy Search, which is a code name, not the real name. Engagement, the fundamental metric is not engagement. The fundamental metric is also not searches, meaning I don't want people to search a lot. If they search a lot, that means they're not quite getting what they want and they have to spend time typing and asking and waiting. The fundamental metric for them, for me, is user satisfaction via they giving us signals how they understand com search and or snazzy search and how they understand or how much they engage with the product in a non-search way. What do I mean by that? One of the key things I want to build for Snazzy Search is ability to understand you in a privacy conscious way without being creepy at all, and then giving you proactive updates, emails, so that you can catch up. Hopefully to the point where a lot of things that you care about, you do get an update. And then it's just a matter of clicking in your notification or email to learn more. And this should cover a wide gamut of your regular search activities. And then the only other things that you want to actually actively seek information for are like sports scores or what's the value of some stock or gold or something on the fly. And for that, maybe Google is just good enough, right? The area that I am spending time on is the problem where you want a legitimately good response that takes some more time. It's okay, but you get a good response back from an AI that understands you and it's AI that's on your side, not an AI that's made up to kind of just suck up all information and use it to their, the AI's or the company's advantage. They want to use them. These companies use your private information for advertisement, for targeting, targeted advertisements, recommendations that are designed to kind of just keep you clicking or watching, feeds that are created that just are so addictive. In other words, create a very addictive product that increases their engagement. My goal, following Comtech principle, is not to build an addictive product. That's a failure, in my opinion. If you're building a search and information retrieval product and you're constantly asking people to search, and more searches equals good, a good engagement metric. In my book, that's a fail. Yes, searching is important, and it's a metric I'll track. But the key metric I'll track is the engagement from the proactive notifications. How is that? How are we really understanding the user in a very transparent way? Everything that's used to understand you, it's easily available in the settings. You'll see when I launch the alpha. You can delete all of them. You can delete your user in 2 clicks in your entire account. You can delete specific memories, is what the term in the industry is using. If you find they're not quite up to the mark or they're too private. And the most important thing of all, which I don't believe many products do, everything I said, ChatGPT and some other products do it in some way or some fashion. The one thing I've not seen yet that I have tried to plan for, design for from day one, like when I started building this system, was user confirmation. When a memory is extracted from a conversation, I want the user, you, to say, yes, save this for personalization. Else, it's not. Even though the system extracts a memory, it will not be used. I may have a setting in the future to save by default. And then when you see the notification, or it's not a notification, which I'll show you, I and my AI were talking, it's not a notification, it's more of a, I forget the term that we decided, because notification has a bad connotation. But it's really a message. You'll see below your response um, that either the memory is saved by default, or memory is not saved by default, and you have to explicitly say save it. I'm not quite sure what I'll go. The default is what I'll go with, but regardless, you should be able to change it in setting what the default is. So if you're very privacy conscious, um, that's off, and so nothing is saved by default unless you say yes. But if that's too much work for you, the system may save by default or will save by default, but you can always say, oh, no, delete it. And because you'll still see the memory panel in the search response that said this memory was saved. It's easier said than done. And so I want to show you how I'm building it end to end. And I'm using this diagram to explain because it's the easiest way. Let me bring up my screen here so it's easier for me to kind of follow through, and I'm going to move this just a little bit on the side. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to go more in detail is how the overall search algorithm works. But in short, it follows this pattern called Craig loop, which is basically a loop that keeps going, tries to refine and improve the answer by expanding, broadening sources as well as query or the prompt until you find a very satisfactory answer. It's a well-known idea, algorithmic idea that's published, I think a few years back. There was research published on this specific topic, and I'm taking advantage of it. So I'm not going to go into much detail on how that works, but I want to go in the future how I'm building, because that is the core search product, the core technology that I'm building. It's really sweet. It's really good. And this is the fundamental reason why I think many of my answers, this product's answers, are better than Google. Because the Craig loop, I feel, has gone to a point where it's so effective. And I'll also talk about how the Craig loop that I've built mimics a model of large, expensive models, natural chain of thought. I'm not using these very large models that are very expensive and I can't afford them. Also, I don't think you may quite need them. Instead, I'm mimicking what these models would do from a thinking standpoint and extracting more info via tools in my own Craig loop system, yet being AI native. So a lot of decisions are still made by AI calls, LLM calls. So for example, there is a LLM judge. I've done a video on this before that looks at the answer or response so far, or the data or content we have and the response so far, and see if it's happy. If it's not, it instructs to try again, like go through another iteration of the loop. Anyway, I'm going through technical. Let's focus on the memory part though. So for now, assume there's a nice search sort of algorithm in place. User initiates a prompt, that search thing goes through, and once we have a response, this is where the magic happens. I built a specific module called Active Memory Manager. And the job is to figure out what do we extract from this response and what the user has asked into a set of operations. And there are a bunch of operations. There are 8 operations. I'm only showing a couple of them. Commit means save it right away. And this is decided by AI. This is what I mean by AI native. All of these calls are AI LLM calls. Uh, yeah, again, we'll go in a future session in more detail on how you string together all these LLM calls. But that's essentially the product I've built. A little giant orchestrator full of multiple LLM calls in an efficient way, in a smart way, uh, not in a wasteful way, to construct a great response that typically you would need the largest and greatest models to do so. And I'm able to do it with the smallest of models, including open weight models. Smallest. It's amazing. It keeps the cost low, speeds up the response, and avoids me to depend on very large companies, giant models. And it's a great track. And I suspect this is the future for a lot of startups, especially one-person startup, which is what I am. I'm a one-person startup, and I have no funding. Everything I'm doing from my credit card bill. Okay, so this is the key thing I wanted to highlight, this active memory manager, and it comes up with these operations. Update is also an interesting operation. If it comes up with that as a response, that means there already exists a memory that's almost like what was extracted. Instead of saving another duplicate or similar memory, let's just update what we have. And this is so good because the first implementation I had, I did not have update, I think, and you just ended up with a whole bunch of uh, memories that we would persist, and it defeats the whole calm tech perspective that I want to infuse in my technology, in my startup, because then you have so many memories and then you can't review it, you can't edit it, and you just give up. And that's what happens with a lot of these systems. You go ChatGPT, etc. There's so many things saved about you, it's hard to manage. So I want to make sure we don't save a lot of similar things. And that's why the update is so important. And the last thing is my favorite, ask. What that means is, and again, this is the mode I'm going in. The settings that I'm talking about is an override. But this is the current mode I'm going with as a default, which is ask the user, what do you want to do with this memory? Do you want to save it? Do you want to delete it? Do you want to edit it? And that's the genesis core of my sort of approach to building my own memory system for personalization. And I feel if you like, what am I building? Like, I'm using a lot of out of the box AI, LLMs. Um, I'm using out of the external search APIs. So what is it that I'm building? Like, what is my special secret sauce? Not secret sauce. I don't like that term. But what is it that the value that I'm uh, providing with building this end-to-end sort of product? What is the value, the real value to the user? Not to me, to the user, to the consumer. And the answer that comes to me when I think about this is the big value is a product that's designed with fundamental tenets of calm technology, of not taking advantage of attention. Second, it's AI native, so it uses LLM and AI natively throughout the processing, throughout the end-to-end processing. So it's very intelligent. As these LLMs become smarter, my whole system becomes automatically more intelligent. So a lot of decision making is not if else or rules or configuration, it's AI calls. And the third thing, the value there is, again, an evolving system to the user, meaning the system will get better and better and better as the AI LLMs get better and better and better. So you don't see that in Google and other products today, traditional search products. You don't, how many people can say that Google search 6 years back was drastically inferior than today? But with this system, I can say that as the LLMs get better, users should see a difference. So that's the user value with AI native. First one was values, good decision making. And third is mimicking a large model by not using a large model, but a series of stringing together a series of small models and orchestrating them. So in other words, getting a big sort of LLM to do the work for you, or maybe two or three, a few a big LLM, the big model calls, and getting the response. And you may get away with it, and you may still get a response, maybe to the quality that I'm getting. But that's not very sustainable because these models are very expensive. They use a lot of energy. That's not good for the planet. And you're reliant on these handful of companies that have these very, very large models. I don't want that. I want this company, the product I'm building, to not rely on any company, any big tech company. And so the obvious choices are open source or open weight models, or models that I'm using that are proprietary, but they exist for decision making in a very and composing the AI response in a very general way, such that I can swap them out, and it won't make a huge difference, because a lot of the logic, a lot of the insight, or not insights, but a lot of the technology, the decision making involved is in the orchestration layer. So essentially, I've built an AI orchestrator that's designed specifically for information retrieval for search, in a way that it can work with these very small models. And on top of that, just to kind of put the icing on the cake, the models themselves are chosen by a model. So there's a model that you start with, and that decides what models to use based on the complexity of the query. So that's, again, the value there is for the user, again, is not depending on big tech, not helping big tech get even bigger. That's good for the planet, good for society, I feel. We want a world where there are a lot of smaller players and few big players, but only big players. That's just 1984 like to me. So I am part of that movement, or that movement doesn't exist. I want to start it. A lot of these one-person small companies who are providing on par quality to big tech products like Google Search, in my case, on par quality Google Search, but with much smaller team, much smaller AI models, yet I'm able to extract the quality, the reasoning, the intelligence out of these models. And hence my approach is much more sustainable, because my approach doesn't require a lot of energy and a whole bunch of compute to make these models even more intelligent, because these models just get bigger, 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 bigger. I don't think that's sustainable. Yes, it's going to get bigger and bigger. Of course, there's a huge runway for these models, and they will. I absolutely see it. But the ultimate AGI in my mind is um, stringing together in a very intelligent way by a model, an orchestrator model, which I call the God model. The God model is very small, but it essentially knows everything about the universe of models and reasoning models and information available out there, and it just orchestrates. That to me is the oracle in AGI, not one single very large model. I don't think I'm alone. A lot of research, I think a lot of people post this on YouTube. I haven't paid too much attention to it, but my instincts, that's what they tell me. And my approach is in line. So the value to the user is we're not reliant on very high energy consuming models that need ton of money, tons of research to make them even bigger. And this is much more sustainable. Very small models, I can use open weight models. And so I add longevity to this product that I'm building. So users can trust it it will be around for a much longer time. So yeah, those are the values. But that was the main thing. And now what happens? Then there is, based on the operations decided, there's an adapter that does the work of the operation. And then after that, the memory is saved. Here you go. It's an array of memory event. Um, and then is what I was talking about earlier, which I want, which is the disclosure panel. So this is what I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone knows some AI products doing this today, maybe it is, but I don't think I see it in ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, and also AI mode with Google. But in my product, Snazzy Search codename, you'll always see a memory disclosure panel. What we did, this is being transparent to the user. Your information is very important to the product, but it's the user's information. Snazzy Search doesn't own it. User owns it. And the user decides whether they allow permission for Snazzy Search to save it. And the user retains the right to delete it anytime or edit it anytime. No questions asked. You can go in and say, I'm Superman for real as a memory, and Snazzy Search for the most part will accept it. Will trust the user and will use it. Another thing I'm thinking is a panel or reusing this panel for transparency on how memory was used. I've put some thought into it yet. I've not quite completed it. I would love to see which memories were used, if not maybe how my memories were used. Maybe not how, that doesn't make sense. I think which memories were used. I think that makes more sense. So if I see uh, a response from my AI, Snazzy Search AI, that talks about, I don't know, supervillains or um, intergalactic travel or something like that, I will start thinking, maybe because I'm Superman for real as a memory, and maybe I want to edit it out because it's fun to do it, but it's kind of messing up my responses maybe, or you like them. So I'm thinking about that as well. I think that will complete the loop. Asking the user, um, at least today, the way it is the LLM decides to ask or not, but I'm still thinking about it. But anyways, showing memory panel to be transparent, what was extracted and what was done with the memory that were extracted, if any. And then in responses, how memories were used and which memories were used. Maybe which memories were used is more important. I don't know about how, because that makes sense. So which memories were used for personalization? I think combined with my Craig loop based search will already create a drastically different search product than anything that exists today. Google certainly doesn't do it, including AI mode. And then everything else are chat applications that are great for searching, but not a search application. And just real quick, if people are thinking, what is the difference between chat and search? The main thing I'll say is user experience. I think ChatGPT is good at searching, but it still gives a very text-heavy response. My goal is to make it more rich and appear to be a response versus just another message in a long conversation. So I don't have even a huge thread. Yet you can continue the thread in Snazzy Search, but it just creates a new page. It doesn't keep tacking along. So it doesn't look like a chat message thread. It looks like what a search response would look like. So mostly it's user experience, but then there are some other subtle details and values uh, that I've infused in the product that makes it more like a search response. Like, meaning a lot of effort is done to answer every query or prompt. I'm not saying ChatGPT doesn't or other AI doesn't, but from very beginning, every query, every prompt is taken as if it's a search query or a search prompt, and everything is done to find the latest info and respond. And so what that means is every response you'll get will always be grounded in latest online sources. So that's the big difference versus ChatGPT or Gemini may answer from its internal knowledge, maybe, may or may not. But Snazzy Search would always ground it in latest info, so you'll not get stale. You shouldn't see technically stale response. So those are the two things I'd call out is the difference. And then there's an eval that I've done, and you can see Snazzy Operation Manager, which is my memory management system, in my test for English, Arabic, Japanese, and Russian. By the way, my product core tenet also of my product is multilingual and global from day one. I don't know. It's too much to build this as a one-person company, and it's even more to kind of make it kind of global from day one. But I just felt in my core, I just don't have a good reason. It just felt in the core that this is what I want from day one. Maybe because it helps me build a more global product versus infusing it later, and then it just sounds like Band-Aid and hacks, maybe. And so I've tested with evals how good the memory is doing versus just kind of I'm just making these things up. I don't share the results because it would be too much, but Snazzy Operation Manager, which is the custom memory manager that I've built, not using any third-party module or service, did pretty good. 111 met, only one missed from memory standpoint. Uh, the current version I have, ignore that. It also was custom, but the latest operation manager is much better, as you can see. And then mem0 is a popular open source Python library and module and things like that. So that was used as a baseline, and boy, didn't do very well in my eval. 52 missed baseline, and then you can customize mem0 with prompts and customize it for memory extraction. Even with customization, we tried to do the best. I tried to do the best, yet it was missing 47 versus my custom Snazzy Manager 1. I mean, maybe I should open source my module, and on day one, it'll do better than mem0. That, in fact, that itself is a startup in some ways, I feel. But from the very beginning, I wanted to build my own search platform. I don't know. I'm so attracted to this idea of having a good um, AI to ask questions and get good answers, not just chat like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or what, all that, which is also important, but like proper research grounded answers. Research as in scouring the web and finding all the information you can, doing a thorough job and responding. I feel it's so powerful. And I think if I ask myself why I've always been attracted to this problem, not that I've worked at Google Search, that was last I worked at, but I've also worked at Ask Jeeves for 7 years, also search platforms. I've worked in this area, but I worked because I was interested in this space. But the fundamental reason, if I ask myself, is I've always been attracted to robotics, like having uh, this almost good robot that's on the human side, our side, not to take over our lives and replace us, but to greatly improve our lives for company, for helping me answer questions, for helping my business grow as a companion to kind of enrich my life. And I always thought that would be a great feature to be in. And of course, that's what Tesla and many of these humanoid robots, etc., are doing. But I studied robotics in the year 2000, and I remember finding robotics jobs, including in the United States, and nothing. I didn't even find many jobs, and the one I found, I got zero interviews. That was a different world. But maybe that's at the core why I've always liked building a question and answer engine, and thankfully with AI, LLMs available today at a lower cost, and me quitting my job, which is very tough. But if the reason I did it was, if I wouldn't have quit, I would not have had a good latter part of my life. I would have regretted it. This way, even if I fail, no regrets. I'd be the happiest schmuck. I'll be the old guy smiling without having a whole lot of things in his pocket, but yet like someone who can say lived a good life. And to me, that was very attractive. And thankfully, my family supported it. So we're reaching the 30-minute mark. In the future, I want to do 20-minute videos, not 30-minute videos. Um, but today was kind of an important session because memory is so important, so important. Uh, I don't think if I turn off memory in my system today, I just don't like the responses as much. That's how much of a difference it makes. It's like the way I think about it, it's like spices in cooking. Yes, you can make curries or steak or whatever without a rub, but having that rub makes it so much better, or the spices in the curry makes it so much better, as long as you don't overdo it. It's very easy to overdo spices, and so that's the line you have to walk. But that's how I see personalization. It's that necessary spice. It's like salt in the stew. Without it, it's just you don't have a good AI system, and definitely not a good AI search system. So I'm super proud I was able to get this far. The snazzy operation manager, 111 met, only one missed in my eval. And this is a proper eval. This is not just like a janky eval. I just built it myself. So super excited I reached this milestone. Super excited my Craig loop based search is complete implementation. memory is getting complete. Next up is just some of the other pieces that are also important, some of the UX. And then I can't wait to get this thing out. Wow, just wow. And my goal is that hopefully I can travel a few places so that I can meet people to help me improve the product and also spread the word. So that's it for today, 30-minute video. I think we're up. I don't think anyone watches these videos, so I always say these videos are for my future self. But I am finding a proper video editor, and I will start to post professional, proper videos, and not just these live streams soon. So watch out for that. And then, as always, have a great life. See ya. Bye-bye.